Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to a scene for the living world of darkness rage across New York. A scene wherein we find 10-point, deeded Hunter's Boon, deeded Hind's Mercy, deeded Fearless Protector, as she's walking through the Umbra. She's right at the edge of the Sheep's Meadow, where she's promised to meet with a particular Silverfang. And while the intent of this meeting was to joyfully bound through the grass, playing and chasing rabbit spirits, she doesn't look very playful. In fact, if anything, she looks outright just weighted down with the loss that has been suffered this day. And so her shoulders are a bit slumped, her head is down, her antlers have shed their velvet, but yeah, she's at least being dutiful enough to appear as promised.
Oh, where's that neo-feudal psychopath I know and love? Jacob will, Jacob's there. He's actually in his lupine form, so he's just kind of sitting around. He's really like a bit like 10-point slash Hunter's Boon. He isn't as happy as he was expecting to be on this play day. Hunter's Boon on his day off. Yeah, it's his day off.
What a day off it is.
Yeah, what a day off it is.
And
yeah, he's just kind of lazing around. He's perhaps not as weighed down as Hunter's Boon, perhaps because he didn't lose as much, or perhaps because he was the one that made the howl. So he is not. He's already had more time to process than most people. So he's just kind of blazing around.
Well, she's also done herself the favor of surrounding herself with mourning kin. So, always the best plan right before playdates. And upon spotting Lupine Jacob, she'll adopt a very weak attempt at a smile and will go ahead and slowly melt her way into Lupus to come and greet him. Still jingling in a false merriment as she trots over and probably plops down, offers his rough and idle nuzzle in greeting, meanwhile canting her head aside briefly so that the throat is bared.
And in true Morgan Freeman fashion, I can smell you. Where you been? What you been doing? Oh, you've been he can literally smell the tears. I don't even think that's outside the realm of reason.
It's really not.
Yeah. He smells literal sadness. That doesn't help. But yeah, he kind of, nuzzles you, finds out where you've been all day. Oh, that's where you've been all day. I should have guessed. And and kind of with his paw just kind of lazily pats 10-point with it so that she can get up.
Oh yeah, she's not making a big ordeal out of it. There's the brief burying of throat, and then is he like actually flopped out on the ground?
He's just kind of sitting there. He's kind of how to put it? He's not sitting like he's at attention. It's more like kind of he's a little bit more spread out across the ground.
A more comfortable kind of dream.
Yeah, he's the best I can liken it to is when a wolf just kind of like is kind of in their den but just kind of has like their paws out. and their head up, and they're just kind of sitting there. So the body's in kind of a narrow, thin line.
So yeah,
It's like that.
there's a flash of throat. There's a nosing at his ruff, and she will slump a little further down than him. Set her head on his paw.
Sorry, what does she do with his ruff again?
Oh, she just once she's kind of nosed at his ruff and done the polite thing, she goes ahead and slumps down. And I mean, the difference between laying and sitting is only so much height, but she ends up just kind of lowering her head until her chin is resting on his paw.
Are you okay?
It has been a long day, Raya. I have been with the kin.
Yeah.
Do we know why?
Trolleys and a connection to Enjon, likely.
But why those kin?
Don't know. Gonna find out.
I haven't found a connection.
Tenkin were killed in a similar fashion as to how Patrick Mason of Endron Oil was killed. Stabbed through the heart. Those 7 kin were then framed for their murders. And a connection was made to the O'Trolley's investigation.
Oh, Jesus.
God, even the cats are
madam.
like...
Excuse
yeah,
you.
She's up in arms.
She is. Jesus. She's almost never vocal. But yeah, so meowing aside, excuse me, frog in my throat. She'll she'll just continue to leave her head there. Not because it's being submissive or anything. It's just comfortable. It's close enough that she's making contact. And it's just weary. Do we know if they'll release the bodies, Raya? And when? And to whom? We have many wakes to hold.
I don't know. I can try and expedite.
I know they would appreciate it, Raya. If it's within your power to do it.
I'll try. I'm still just a sergeant. I don't have a ton of power yet. And as far as human society is concerned, 7 of these kin were considered domestic terrorists. I don't know if I'll release them anytime soon.
I hope that we don't complicate your life outside of the sept if we take it into our own hands, Raya. It's not right for them to be kept in boxes, kept on trays. Their families are suffering. But I will leave it to you first. And if worst comes to worst, one of us will go with them to ensure it's not just another way for them to get their hands on more.
If I can find out you stabbed those kin, you can start making progress.
Anything I can do to help, Ryan, I will do. If they know where the site was, if they know where it took place, find a way and take me there. It will take me time, but if I'm on the other side, I can speak to the spirits who may have been present. I may be able to get something. They do not see things the way we do, but perhaps something they saw will help you.
Thanks. Hopefully it does. The 10 stabbed kin were found in the Hudson. I need to find out where they were going and when they went missing.
I cannot speak for the others, but we're ours in the first group of the second.
OC, I did not have the information from the STs, but because these 17 kin are kind of interchangeable, he will say...
You can always just be like, hand wave, I'll answer you later.
I'm trying to identify where each of these kin will be. Fiona, probably second. So he's going to say second, which is bad.
Yeah, she definitely doesn't put on a happy face as a result.
The seven considered suspects were the police were, well, they were shot. Official stories is that they shot at the police first, but I don't know how true that is. I'll need to see if I can get access to the police body cams. But to be honest, if the police came in with as much force as I suspected they did, it wouldn't have been unlikely.
We have seen corruption, not necessarily from your people, but we have seen it. The kin have suffered through it before. They may have been afraid, Raya.
I have no doubt that they were.
If nothing else, being caged in and threatened for something you've not done. It seems strange that they couldn't take even one alive.
When it comes to terror suspects, attempts are made, but often you'll find that few survive. Sometimes this has nothing to do with the police, sometimes it does. If there was a shootout, stance on them, stance for the police is shoot back, basically. Past that point, there wouldn't have been a significant attempt to take them alive.
A waste of life. And from people who have given such an outcry over the loss already suffered. I'm sorry. I know this isn't the meeting I promised you.
And now you know I don't take days off.
I know what a fine day off it is, Raya.
But there's a bit of a smirk at that.
She's trying to be playful. It comes across as a bit bitter.
The attempt is appreciated at least by Jacob.
I'm sorry that this happened, particularly when you were meant to take ease, Raya. I'm sure you've done the opposite.
Nothing you could do. I need to apologize. I tried to get as many people out as I could, but I was informed barely an hour before the raid even began.
Sorry, you reformed what?
He was informed about he said he tried to get as many people as he could, but he was informed barely an hour before the raid even began. A lot of these investigations, like stuff like O'Trolley's serial killings, a lot of it wasn't done by the city police. They're just following orders from people higher up in the food chain. So I was informed too late.
It's a shame that more of us can't do as you do. Can't walk among people.
Everyone is something they're good at. Sometimes it's best not to. Like, for example, have not always had the best of times understanding spirits even when we're on good terms.
They're mercurial things, Ryan. But that is why you have the urges. Do you have any guy's breaths, Ryan?
Obviously, he only has the one from Will Transfer, so he probably wouldn't have any right now. No.
Then when we cross, I will make sure that you have more. We can't afford to lose you, Ryan. You're the only connection we have to things like this.
Thanks. You get nuzzled a little bit.
And she'll actually turn up her muzzle to it. Accepts the comfort apparently more readily in Lupus than she normally does.
To be honest, I expected something like this.
You just have to wonder. So many kin from so many tribes. All in one day. Give me 1 second, my phone is ringing.
Meow.
Okay, that was weird, but I'm back.
It's okay. Jacob would just say, yeah, expect something like this. Then you said, yeah, so many kin all in one day. Jacob was just gonna say, this is the one doing what it's good at. When I'm out there doing my thing, I'm playing on the terms of the Worm and the Weaver, or on anyone else's. I'm in their environment.
Perhaps you're the first one I should make a tail in for, Raya, so that you can call for help when it's needed.
Maybe, but I don't think they know who I am yet.
Perhaps not yet, Raya, but if they could single out our kin, and only our kin, for something as convoluted as taking them out in 2 motions, I worry.
It's a retaliation for our prior victories. That's what the stabbings are about. But I don't think they would have done that if they knew I was paying attention. Because they've left leads and clues that someone in my position can pick up on. And they wouldn't do that if they knew I had my teeth into the system.
True. There are so few of us who can do this. They probably have no reason to suspect. Even if they do, they may think you can.
That's probably why I went after Ken. One of the reasons we were able to take down the Andron operations because we had people in the system. They may be trying to purge people from it as much as it is revenge.
Let me know, Ra, if there's anything I can do, any spirits I can speak to, anything that will aid in you finding out how this was done, anything that will help you finding out why these kin. There has to be a trend.
I don't know if there are spirits that can inherently aid in my ability to just perceive the truth. I know there are some powers that exist that allow for such things in a limited capacity, but
More limited there, Raya, but if you can find the site of the first crime, if you can take me there, with enough time, I might be able to gather clues for you. Things beyond what you can find with your eyes.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
And however this was done over a long period of time, it just doesn't appear to be. Or they snatched all of them up and just did it in one place.
It seems like something that was well planned and quickly executed, Raya.
I fear if we go after that woman on TV, we're just going to be taking out another figurehead.
Sorry, say all that again?
He says he fears that if they just go after the woman on TV, they're just going to be taking out another figurehead. We stopped Andron from digging into the forest because he took out their CEO, but the entire point of Andron digging there was to corrupt an earth elemental. And I remember when we infiltrated the hive, the Spirals had already planned for his failure. They knew he was going to fail anyway.
It would have been far more than a single elemental, Raya. If they had managed to dig, it would have corrupted everything.
Mm.
The elemental was merely my attempt to stall their attempts. I thought that if it came down to that final moment, to that drill touching the earth, perhaps he could do something to keep it from striking Gaia's veins.
Mm. But that Spiral Pack was after a particular elemental, I don't know why.
Probably because I put him there for that reason, Raya.
Mm. But they had already planned to cut their area regardless of whether Andron succeeded or failed. So they no doubt have this woman under lock and key. And I'm not even sure her death would help us. If I can find the murderer, then I can find the person that planned it in the first place. But I believe this to be organized, well, executed by multiple people. And she's just part of the conspiracy.
Have you heard yet, Raya, of the results of our trip to Second Chance? Well, to find Mr. Green from Second Chance Plastics.
No, how did it go?
Keep an ear to the ground, Raya. We found more questions than answers. He was taken by a group that seems to refer to themselves as Fear. What was distressing, Raya, was that they spoke of Gaia and of aiding Gaia and of how Mr. Green's actions had harmed Gaia, and this was recompense for it. But the first that we saw of this group, 2 out of the many, they were likened to Fomori, Raya. They were riddled through with corrupted spirits, plants, growth spirits. It was strange. They had gathered many, many to watch Mr. Green and those who worked with him be executed. We found out that Mr. Green was not who he said he was not who he was not Mr. Green. He was some man hired to take the name and be a figurehead. He could tell us nothing useful, though.
And this corrupted group killed him?
We did. After we scavenged him from the group and questioned him.
Okay.
But he could tell us nothing of his higher-ups. He could tell us nothing of how to find them, contact them. It was very carefully done, Raya. And this group, now there are 2 rather than 1. Because while their intentions seem to be good, they seem to be right. They seem to truly care for Gaia. There were still Fomori in their midst.
Makes sense. Just a site infiltrated the Weaver's web. Worms trying to infiltrate groups, they're actually trying to help Gaia.
The worm always has a very singular goal, but how it goes about that goal can be as convoluted as how we go about ours. It may seem strange and wrong for the worm to make this gesture, but we have no idea what their end goal was. If you meet those in your questioning who say there's nothing to fear but fear itself, take note. They spoke it as a mantra.
Jacob looks a little bit annoyed for a second. He says, "What are these people, teenagers? It's a great way to get caught. But I'll keep that in mind and I'll pass the names on to you."
We managed to kill a good number of them, Raya, but I'm sure that was not the only cell.
No. And cells are difficult to track because they often move independently of one another. It's possible that each cell does not even have communication with the other. It's one of the advantages of that structure.
Whatever the case, we are the explanation for those bodies burned. Thankfully, most were mundane. I took Krynos, and only 2 were able to continue fighting.
It does concern me though. Not just this, but I know the method of burning's brought up again. This, I mean, in your case, it's not really an issue, but it's a tactic this sept has used over and over again. And I feel one of the reasons this incident happened is because our enemy has grown wise to it and is now reacting to it.
It was the only way to hide evidence of our war forms, Raya. The bodies were mangled, and there were too many.
I'm going to keep an eye on the force. I expect the reaction to arson now to be much quicker and more violent. Because we're now being identified by our methods.
Consider speaking to Felix, Raya.
I'll do so.
He may be able to help you find what connected these kin, what allowed them to be tracked down.
If I had identities, that's going to be a long list. But, looking at it, you should be able to at least narrow down some of them. Depends on how much access the worm has to human bureaucracy.
As much access as any human riddled with a bane can have, Raya.
I know we were dealing with heavily tainted humans in City Hall before, to the point where a girl was literally shipped off set because of it, and then subsequently died. It's not It's not the case anymore, but it's possible they're regrouping.
I assume you're capable of sensing the worm, Raya?
I already know at least one official in the police force who is tainted, but it's going to take me a while to bring him down. I have no doubt his successor is tainted as well, so I can't just walk up to him and kill him off. I'll just be trading one pawn for another.
Of course. But if you ever wish to confirm the nature of it, all I have to do is be in the Umbra. I will see the Bane if they are Fomori.
This one was very heavily one-tainted. I don't know if he was a Fomori. He didn't have any overt signs, but
They don't always.
I know Fomori tend to burn out fairly quickly as well. He's been around for a while, long time. He's not just a recent addition to the force. He's been doing this for a while now to us, so it's possibly something else, but as you say, I'll keep an eye on if he is, and we'll deal with it from there. Just spends a lot of time in the city, so it's gonna be hard to get him while the spiders aren't on you.
The spiders have calmed. They don't have the numbers to invest anymore, Raya. Not after all that's been done. The gauntlet is thinned. Back to where it should be.
That's true. Places like police precincts do tend to be hubs for them, though.
This is true, Raya. I am sure, however, that he must come or go sometime. He must eat.
Yeah, it's a home. Wouldn't be hard for me to find out where he lives. I already know he's guilty of several serious crimes.
Even if all we do is look, Raya, if you find where he lives, and I am able to look across, or step across, it just takes one glimpse to confirm a Fomori.
I suspect Leech involvement above all else. It was the Leeches, not Fomori or other worm-tainted entities that had taken over city politics and city law enforcement. That's how it was before, and even after their grip on the city was loosened, it was always they who had influence over the models of the city. I know other forces of the worm do as well, but I don't know, they just tend to be everywhere. They have their fangs in every single industry you can imagine.
As they do, Raya.
But we're slowly prying them out. My hope and plan is for this police captain to be removed due to corruption charges. It's probably going to be months down the line, maybe even a year in the making, maybe even more than that. But I'm setting up a kinfolk to be a successor.
Thoughtful.
I would, for the purposes of safety, have it be myself, but my rage draws too much attention. And I give off too many warning signals to the enemy. I'd better be able to serve in the background. And I'd be able to keep an eye on my kin better from that if I'm lower down the totem pole.
I think I will speak to the Master of the Right then. If your kin are playing such a pivotal role and going into potentially a position that will attract danger. It's important that they have something, some way to call us, some way to signal us, so that we can come to their aid.
That'd be most helpful. They're pretty spread out right now. None of them are in particularly strong position, although if someone is a sergeant like me and a captain, those two are the most prominent figures right now. Everyone else is just a standard officer, not in the same level of danger or visibility as those two. To be honest, they're more likely to die to a gang shootout than anything else.
But in the meantime, they served the Septria.
Mm.
And the least we can do is do best by them.
I have some human allies from wildlife looking out for me and them as well. Trying to work past my age to get as many people together as possible. It'll be harder for the enemy to sort through them then.
Agreed, Raya.
Fortunately, my reach doesn't seem to have scared them off.
You have the fortune, Raya, to work in a profession where some amount of intimidating bearing is not uncanny.
Took a while for me to get used to the drill sergeant role. Guess I was lucky, had good friends. It's going to be a trip though. I'm not going to be able to make much progress this month. I was capped out just getting everyone back, every one of the kin back on track before, and now I'm going to be reacting again and pulling everything I can so I can try and solve this mystery.
These things do take time, Raya. The only thing that I ask with any speed is please, if you can find a way to have the bodies returned to their families. If not, simply tell us what we need to know and we will retrieve them ourselves.
The knife victims they should be released in time normally. That's human society still considers them victims, so they should be released swiftly. As for those that were considered terror suspects, it's going to take a bit of wrangling, convincing, but I should be able to get it to happen. My concern is that they start investigating the families of these suspects for radicalization, and then it's just going to spread from there.
We've had much the same thought, Raya. And if need be, their families can go to ground.
I'm having Vicky's family slow down in what they're doing. They need it anyway.
I know that it may complicate things to remove them, but I fear more that those who come to investigate will be just as corrupted. Then I fear the consequences of having them suddenly impossible to find.
It's a delicate situation. if I knew the way this happened is unique. If I was familiar with this methodology, I might be able to help you out more. But I don't know how the enemy's going to react next to this. There's two clear methods of what they can do. Either they're obviously trying to use our grief as a weapon against us. You might predict that you'll come after the bodies and use that as a pretense to investigate the families, and then conveniently another shootout happens. Or they go ahead of it anyway on the pretense that the families might have been radicalized as well. But that's much looser and more difficult to do. Because there is a total lack of evidence of that. Even the human law just being connected to a human terrorist isn't evidence to go after a family. Anyone who has any legal knowledge whatsoever would probably be able to even sue for that, to be honest. So they probably want us to react because it gives them a clearer path forward. I'm going to see what I can do to recover the bodies back so you don't have to. So we can cut them off before they can push forward with their own plans. Give the families time to grieve.
Then would it be a bad idea, Raya, to move the families?
They definitely want to quiet down. If we're going to go forward with body recovery, it might be best to play it safe. They might need their identities changed, but they just got their jobs back.
I didn't mean to necessarily affect them in the long term, Raya. But for the immediate families, we had thought perhaps using waypoints, safe houses, at least for a little while, taking them out of the limelight, making sure that the police do not turn up at their door and have them turn up dead.
That would be wise. It's probably the safest option.
Good.
If worse comes to worse and they end up on a watch list, I'll let you know so that we can form a more permanent solution to that problem. But that shouldn't happen.
You are indispensable, Raya. And she'll crane her head up and kind of lap under his muzzle.
Oh, yay. Jacob approves. He takes it. And there is probably some back and forth, pouring and grooming.
Yes. If she's self-conscious, it's a lot harder to tell in Lupus. But she doesn't seem to give a fuck, right, Meow?
He just kind of sits next to her and leans against her slightly.
Yep, there's counter lean. So they balance out.
Oh. See, it's harder than you'd think to get me to take a day off.
Much harder, it turns out, Raya. Had I known you had such contingencies, I would have tried harder.
I'm interested to see how much harder you try.
And she looks somewhere between a bit stunned that he's being playful, but still a bit coy.
A wild porpoise.
Hmm?
A wild porpoise. Kind of bats slightly in a stunned state. Yeah.
Oh, I'm conniving, Raya. Very conniving. Don't you worry. One day, I will plan for all contingencies, and you will have a day of rest.
I look forward to your shenanigans. If she even knows what that word is.
Oh, she's Irish. She knows what the fuck shenanigans is. Come on now.
Okay, fair enough. You see Jacob, like, at 10 points, sees Jacob kind of lazily reach out to a rabbit, which is just out of reach.
Like that I'm gonna catch you with my paw.
Just go away.
And she'll chortle a bit.
They don't let me hug them.
It's almost as if it's within their nature. Who'd have thought?
I wouldn't have thought rabbits to be so standoffish.
They're prey, Raya.
Yeah, but I'm not preying on them today. I'm unsuccessfully trying to bat them with my paw. They will
I
not
dare
be
say you're
pawed.
not trying very hard, Raya.
This is true. Eventually, I'll sit here for long enough that one of them will come close enough for me to bat with my paw. It's just a matter of sitting here for a few days. I'm not bad at catching things, but I was never good at sneaking up on them. I'm just as bad at lying.
It is a good thing to be bad at, Raya.
The lying part, sure. The sneaky part, not so much. Especially when I was in Detroit. That place was nasty. Something I'll get better at, I guess.
Practice makes perfect, Raya.
You say this, I spent most of my cupboard doing it.
Sneaking, Raya.
At least trying to grasp the bare basics of it. Don't know, it just never came to me. Was a lot better at the more structured stuff like rites and the litany and all that sort of thing. And to his credit, Olaf turned me into a pretty good fighter. Already knew how to shoot a gun, but didn't know how to hold a weapon or throw a punch. I mean, basics, but not to the level I am now. How about you?
I dare say I have become better at many things that I did not realize I needed improvement in, Raya. Though she picks up a paw and kind of like lays it over his muzzle, like kind of teasingly, and flops it off. But I am still as bad a liar as you are.
That's comforting. You get your muzzle licked.
She just kind of like idly laps out her tongue back, in his direction, but doesn't twist enough to actually catch his face. Oh, for the day that we can enjoy ourselves, Raya.
I don't know, there are only so many days in a year, it'll happen eventually.
Law of averages, then.
Mm-hmm. Eventually it'll happen. If only because I dragged this city kicking and screaming into a state of peace.
Once the dust settles, then, Raya.
I'll count the dust settling from today onwards. So many people I need to talk to now. He just kind of like puts both his paws on his muzzle and they just kind of slide down his muzzle and kind of like a pained expression of a human running their hands down their face.
She just kind of stoops over and starts like nibbling on his ruff. Reassuringly. Almost affectionately. How dare. But yeah, she starts kind of like nibble grooming on his ruff.
Yeah, he'll like settle up so he's like in a position where that's not uncomfortable. Just lets her do that.
She'll like end up moving a paw, so she's like got one leg splayed out, like plopped on the other side of him. Ah, but if you did not do it, Raya, who would? Talking to people? Not a strength in the nation.
Yeah. Yep. That's all he says.
That's because she's right, and they both know it.
Both know it. And she dares to say it.
She
How
does
dare.
dare. But only where he can hear it.
Anyway, he can hear it. Makes you wonder how many problems we could solve if we just talked.
Doesn't it, Raya? Alas, that would be too simple. And it seems that nothing worth doing is easy.
Nah. And I suppose in the defense of the nation, humanity spent a lot of time talking, and all they've really managed to do is localize the their complex. Better than a world war, I guess, though. My dad always said politics is... People always underrate politics because either it's that or it's war. It's always better to talk than to fight. So even though it looks like just the worst, the absolute worst, it's still preferable to the alternative. Because all of that politicking actually gives a lot of peace at the end of the day.
Just so, Raya.
Yeah. Guess time will tell if everyone comes together and decides to sit down at the table. Because I feel like the world was closer than it was before. Just the shame it took us so much pressure to actually do so.
It is.
Guess I'm lucky to have a talking buddy.
She basically like grooms over one of his ears obnoxiously to hide her amusement. I may not be good at many things, Raya, but I am a good Omega. And you need balance as much as anyone else on Sept.
You're a good listener. As it almost feels like muzzles at your ears to make a point.
For you, Raya, I try.
Just hope I can do the same. Oh, did you hear that?
Sorry, I didn't.
Okay, so it's just hope I can do the same.
We shall see, Raya.
Spend all that time listening and you'll forget how to speak.
Oh, I have not forgotten, Raya, but I am very, very careful what I do speak.
It's kind of weird. Normally I approve of people being more tactful.
No?
Sometimes I find myself wondering if it'd be better if you were a bit more blunt. But you've been fairly blunt with me, so I can't complain.
I will always say what needs to be said, Raya. Thankfully, it is rarely unpleasant in your case.
Then I still have improvements to make because it should be never.
What was that?
He says, well, then I have improvements to make because it should be never.
Soon enough, Raya. Soon you'll be perfect, and I will not have to say a word. Though it may make our outings boring.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think if I were perfect, you'd speak more.
But then would you even need me, Raya?
I mean, do I need someone to want them around?
And she finally, very daringly, gives his ear a bit of a nip for finally pulling herself more upright, glancing around.
He fluffles up on next to you.
She turns a glance down and plops a leg. So she's like, I mean, not straddling per se, because it's just a front leg, but like plops a leg on the other side of him. You are too kind, Raya. I hope that no one takes advantage of it.
Hope not. I'm just compensating.
The brow dots lift a bit. Compensating, Raya.
A lot of people aren't very nice. Someone's got to carry the loss.
Surely so, Raya.
So, why not me, I guess?
There are few better suited. Though I believe that Shinlo is upping the competition.
He's trying real hard. I'll give him that.
And she will actually look a little conflicted for a moment. And then we'll go ahead and plop down so that she is not laying on him very much, but has the legs splayed over him. Consider advising him to learn the rite of the questing stone.
I don't actually know that right now that I think about it.
There's the gift, the pulse of the prey, to find the living. And there is the rite of the questing stone, to find the inanimate.
What a wonderful combination.
An effective one, I find, Raya. But I must be leaving you, Raya. She'll kind of lick just across his face, just to be obnoxious. I am due for a meeting with several of my tribesmates.
He'll lick you straight across her face.
Straight across her scarred up muzzle.
Yeah.
She will fail to protest, considering she started it. But perhaps we should consider this instead of tea. Perhaps next time we'll even have the gumption to actually give the rabbits what they want. And yeah, there's a handful of them kind of bouncing around, bouncing in and out of sight, just trying to goad them into it. Just
not today.
Not today, Bunny. Not today. And so she'll finally
to the god of rabbits, not today.
finally grudgingly heave herself up onto all fours.
Jacob seems to still be in a bit of a playful mood, so he kind of like his paws kind of lift up and kind of place themselves on her side. So he's kind of just balancing himself on his hind legs, just kind of rubs his nose into her side, into her fur.
And she'll tolerate and again turn around to reciprocate at least briefly. Though by then there's something of an amused air about it. A shame that there's not a person of position, or a shame that there is someone of position waiting. Or I might consider making them wait. But alas.
Aww.
I have several reasons to speak to the keeper, sadly. So I must be going.
Yeah, I feel bad. He's pretty boring.
Oh, he is not boring in my company, Raya. Don't you worry. But Saoirse and Aiden will be with me.
His nose kind of like bubbles. Kind of leans into, kind of nudges 10 Point's face a little bit. Stay tough. I'll be waiting with tea.
She gives a mock sincere bob of her head and will flag her tail up a little bit. Just a bit. It's not even body height yet, but just a teeny bit. I endure, Raya. She reassures, and she'll orient herself and begin the idle trot off.
Jacob would probably go with her a certain distance just because they'd probably be heading in a similar direction.
No.
His tail's wagging a little bit.
Oh, she'll give teeny wags. Little teeny wags.
Jacob's little teeny wags. 17 people still died.
That's why they're very small wags.
Yeah.
And I think that is a safe place before you catch me up some more to say thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness. Rage across New York.
No, come back.